Pickle, let's go to the hotline and bring in the Hall of Famer, the voice of the Texas Longhorns, the voice of Texas high school football, and yesterday's birthday boy. We are joined by Craig Way. Follow him on Twitter at CraigWay1. Craig, how are you? How was your birthday, buddy?
It was good. You may have been the only person to actually say boy attached to birthday, because when you get on up there along the way, I don't know the boy uniformly fits anymore, but I will take it. And by the way, before we get rolling here, because we're used to being of the Mutual Admiration Society and patting each other on the back, can I just take just for a second here and compliment your producer, Ashley Pickle, who, by the way, I thought did a fine job reporting for us the other night, as dispatched by you and your crew, that wound up being at the big story there with Highland Park and Lone Star. So she turned in some fine work. I don't know if you or others are tutoring her well, or if she just had that long before you guys got a hold of her, but she's doing a fine job.
Well, thank you so much, Craig. I appreciate that very much. It's nothing to do with Tepper.
No, it's nothing to do with me, but here's the thing. I have known Craig Way long enough that I know his game here. His game, this is a roundabout way of talking up North Texas. This is all this.
We love the mean green.
This is a mean green play is what this is.
We love the mean green. I love that. Also, Craig, I got to tell you, I've been listening. I used to listen to you on the Horn growing up for literally ever, and my dad just commented and said, "Life made because you said my name." That is his number one thing. Tepper hates this, but I had to let you know.
This is
Hey, I like to hear that you have the proper attitude to deal with Tepper. That's also a very important trait, in addition to your fine education obtained in Denton County, USA. So I'm glad to hear about all of that. But I was just tossing that out there, Tep. Want everybody to know she's been well trained and she's doing a fine job.
I know your game, Way.
Thank you so much.
Well, let's start. Let's segue from that to the game that Miss Pickle was at on Friday night, which was the Lone Star and Highland Park game. Lone Star goes on the road and does what no Texas team has been able to do since 1998. That is to knock off the Scots at Highlander Stadium. And I've you and I try to be extremely careful about not overcooking things, especially with one game samples. But this felt like, on Friday night, this felt like we took a division in 5A Division I and took it from one team and the field, being the three-time defending champs Highland Park and the field, and now maybe mush them all together into this really tantalizing group of contenders. I know I said this on your show. 5A Division I became one of the most fascinating in the state in the span of 1 week, but I'm curious to see, now that we have that result, what you're seeing as the shape of 5A Division I.
Yeah, you kind of disappointed me, Tep. I thought on the show the other night, as soon as it went final with Lone Star getting the win, or as soon as the story came in, that you were going to pick up a dice shaker, roll it, and go Yahtzee for 5A Division I. I thought that was coming because that's your game. That's right there with Crazy Town Banana Pants and all the other stuff. I think I thought about it. I thought about it last 72 hours or whatever to try to properly place what the Rangers did in that game and where it all falls in the grand scheme. And I think the best word that I can come up with for their performance and for where they stand right now is thorough. Mm-hmm. They were very thorough in what they did. I mean, they got up, they went out, did what coaches love to do. They get the jump early, they built the lead, and they made stops that they had to make, even as Highland Park made the eventual run that we all knew they would make, because they are who they are, and they have that kind of pedigree about them. And as we also said on the show Friday night, don't kick any dirt on Randy Allen's team. That when the smoke clears, they're going to be in amongst the group. But I think that's the key, in amongst the group. Mm-hmm. It's become a group. It's become a group mentality. That's what you and I were talking about the other night now, that there are many in that group who are clearly capable of laying claim to that crown. Lone Star clearly is one of those. Ryan is one of those. Shadow Creek is one of those. And then there's a group of others who still have to show me some things, but are capable of it, depending on what they show during the course of the season.
So the other big headline from Friday night, besides Highland Park going down to Lone Star, was the absolute calamity in 2A Division II, where 8 of the top 10 teams end up losing. Our rankings are now out. If you missed it, we kept Hamlin at the number 1 spot after a 2-point loss to Hawley. Fall City jumps up to number 2. Mart, with a loss, moves up to number 3. Look, I'm not asking you to come on here and tell me that we did a good job, but
yes, he is.
But what I'm asking you is, in a situation like this, with the historical kind of context that you have, what would have been, let's say we go back to a time when you're doing the rankings, how would you have voted in something like 2A Division II, where you just have such chaos in 1 week, where it seems like if you could just survive that week and come away with even the most narrow and unimpressive of wins, you would have made a big leap in the rankings?
Yeah, I got to tell you, because I just got off the air from my own show a little while ago, and on Tuesdays we do we read everybody the updated rankings. We let them know what's going on. So because I get off the air before they came out yesterday, but you and I were speculating on some things. So then my first surprise, and I failed them. I looked at my first thought was, well. Looks like Tepper and his crew sat back on the rear ends and did a big fat absolutely nothing with the ranking. Now, that's not completely true, and I didn't say that on the air. Mm-hmm. But, people might look at that at first blush only because Hamlin sat where it did. Now, let me add, again, the devil's advocate is, what would anybody else do with that, with carnage like that? I've never seen carnage like that. This is my 38th year of covering high school football, be it in print or broadcast. I've never seen a top 10 take a hit like that, ever. So, my point about all this is, your guess, your educated guesstimation is as good, if not better, than anybody else's with regard to. I will tell you this: what will clearly, I'm sure it will, raise an eyebrow across the state is not only do you have a 1 and 2 Mart team in the poll. We talked about that. They played a really, a good 3A program in Franklin, so they stepped up. Not only that, you moved them up after the loss. That's the thing that's going to, I think, attract a little bit of attention or two. Mm-hmm. But I understand the reasons for why you did what they did. And by the way, I took the liberty after the loss of good-naturedly chiding my sideline reporter and really the unofficial mayor of Martin, Texas, Quan Cosby, about his alma mater. And I'm like, "What's up?" Yeah, I said, "I remember losing to Franklin last year," and he said, they're still trying to figure out a few things. Do you remember they didn't move Rodrell Freeman, the quarterback, until in the playoffs after the injuries, and so he's still even trying to get acclimated to stuff. And when you don't have Willa Bailey back there, and then you don't have some of the other guys, they lost a couple of guys on the line, and they don't have a Tyreek Horn, obviously. There's still a little bit of feeling out to go. I've got a feeling they'll get all that figured out over time. It was good, I think, for you to have Highland in the rankings. I think they're deserving, and good to see them pop in.
Yeah, I was glad to get them in. There's no good way to deal with 2A Division II, so we just tried our best. It was, to us, the least bad way of dealing with it. It's Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, joining us every Tuesday here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, # TF Today. All right, Craig, I'm going to throw 3 surprising unbeaten 6A teams at you. 3 surprising unbeaten 6A teams at you. You tell me which one, or multiple, that you're buying. Which ones are you buying in on and saying, I think this might be for real? We'll go out east. I'll give you Tyler Lee. The Red Raiders are 3-0. We'll go to southeast. I'll give you Beaumont United, who is 3-0. And then we'll go in your neck of the woods. I'll give you a Cedar Park Vista Ridge, who is off to a 3-0 start. Which of those catches your intrigue the most?
Probably United, because of where they are, what they've done. I don't know that they might, of the 3. Hey, did you see this coming? Surprise! They might be the most surprising. I would think. Tyler Lee's in a tough region, as we know, in a tough district and all that sort of stuff. It's been impressive. And in the case of Vista Ridge, Rodney Vincent's always had pretty good defense. That's what failed him last year, and that's why they went 1-9. They have the offensive coordinator's kid, Todd Brown. His son Kyle is the quarterback, and I'm visiting with Anthony Wood at Westwood this morning. Those two teams play this week, and you talk about two talented junior quarterbacks going head-to-head, facing off against one another on Friday night. R.J. Martinez of Westwood, and then Kyle Brown of Vista Ridge. He said he's a gunslinger, but he can fit throws in. He goes, and that's what we're kind of concerned about. So I think they thought the offense was going to be better there, and defense you don't expect to be down very low. Now they're in a tough district, and whoever loses this game is going to have a difficult time trying to grab that fourth spot if we are to believe and assume that Vandegrift and Round Rock would probably be in there. And don't sleep on Stony Point because they look good. And Cedar Ridge, I think will recover as well. So that's an important game. But of those three, probably United, I would be maybe the most surprised about. I don't know that I'm ready to cash in on any of the three being playoff teams yet.
We will find out, but I will ask you one last question. And I know I'm going to pull from the Craig Way playbook and give you the old multiple choice. One last multiple choice question. You have free reign.
It's the only way I got through college, by the way, even in North Texas, with multiple choice. At least I had a fighting chance,
free reign. You have free reign to go to any game in the state on Friday night. You can go
Grandview, Malakoff.
Okay, never mind.
You didn't even need your multiple choice.
Fine. Okay, the other two, for what it's worth, the other two I was going to mention were Fort Bend, Marshall, and Manville, and Converse, Judson, and Cibolo Steel. Both ranked matchups, both terrific matchups, but you're going with the matchup, the non-district matchup on this one.
And I'll give you another one that I like. And we talked about it a little bit the other night. Brownwood and Wichita Falls Riders. That's another one that I think we learned more about Sammy Burnett's team. I mentioned that. It was like, look at Tepper putting Brownwood in the poll. Okay, we're going to find out more now. That kind of thing. Now, that said, how often do we get number one versus number two? How often do we get a rematch of a state championship? And as you pointed out yesterday, how often do you have two teams who are ranked 1 and 2 in a rematch of a state title game playing for the third time in a calendar year? That's just harvest moon weird stuff, So that's why I would go with Malakoff Grandview. It's got a lot of pathos to it, I think, for Friday.
I tend to think you're right, and I will go out on a limb and say whoever wins that game will be the number one team in 3A Division I. I'll
heard it here first.
Careful out there right now.
You won't have the issues that you had with 2AD2 with that this week. That's for sure.
He is Craig Way. He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. Catch his fine work on the Horn in Austin, and of course you can see him on Fox Sports Southwest on Friday night. That's part of the Emmy Award-winning High School Scoreboard Live, and then listen to him call Texas and Oklahoma State on Saturday. Craig, appreciate your time, pal. I will see you on Friday.
Thank you, Tep. Ashley, keep up the good work.
Thanks, Craig.
There he goes. Brown-nosed Craig Way. Joins us every Tuesday here on Texas Football Today. Are you okay?
That was...
Are you doing okay? Because here's the thing. Let's be clear about this. Ashley Pickle has a crush on Craig Way. That's what's going on here.
That's an interesting way to put it. He is the GOAT. Like, I can't even.
You have a football crush on Craig Way.
Yeah, football crush is a good way to put that. I grew up my whole life listening to Craig Way with the Longhorns. My parents had season tickets for 25 years. So, that was the pinnacle of broadcast. And I warned him about that when I got here. I really did. And when they told me I was going to get Craig Way's number, I don't freak out often, fangirl often, but that was a big one. So, yeah, that was cool for me. Shout out Lance Pickles watching, too, so I know that was a big moment for him. But, yeah,